absorbed in ourselves, or are we absorbed in what God has done through us? I listen to people say, well, I'm not willing to give a witness or a testimony to my faith because I don't like to talk about myself. Then don't. Talk about God and how He has been at work through you. Don't talk about yourself. It's not about you. It's about what God has done through you. 90 years of history. What has God done through Bethel? I'm not asking what Bethel has done. I'm not asking what the United Methodist Church has done. I'm asking what has God done through us. He has witnessed. He has saved. He has redeemed. He has turned lives around. He is reaching out to new families. If you don't believe me, folks, have you been counting how many baptisms we've had this year? And there are more to come. If we are but willing to give testimony to what God has done through us, if we are willing to give witness to what we have seen God do through us. For me, the day has to have the reading of scriptures so that I know what God is calling me to be and where God is calling me to go. For me, as a human being, I need to read those scriptures to be continually convicted of my inadequacies. I'm not perfect. And as a perfectionist, that's hard to accept, folks. I'm not asked by God to be perfect. I'm asked to strive for perfection in my willingness to serve. I don't know how many of you have noticed, but we tend to make things complicated. Have you ever noticed that? When all else fails, then we'll pull out the directions. Have you ever noticed that when we start working on things, we'll make a mountain out of a molehill? We complicate things. Well, I have a question for you. How many of you know the mission statement of the of Bethel United Methodist Church? Not the one that we've been working on, Gail, the other one. Bethel United Methodist Church, a Christ-centered community who worships, who will expand its ministry through outreach in all forms of media like the radio and newspaper and internet. How many of you want me to continue? We complicate things. Guess what? So did the Pharisees. They tried to trip Jesus up. They asked the question, what is the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. That was his answer. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. This is the fullness of all the prophets, all the law. It's the fullness. It's the completed part. So you take all of that teaching, all of those laws, and he summarized it into 2 sentences. What is the church's mission? I want you to look at the front of your bulletin. Bethel United Methodist Church, a Christ-centered community, making disciples through. I think maybe we need to simplify it. What do you see there? Say it louder, folks.
Make disciples of Jesus Christ.
To make disciples of Jesus Christ. Which is easier to remember? Bethel United Methodist Church, a Christ-centered community, worshiping God through the radio and newspapers and internet, and which is easier?
The second one.
In the coming months, the vision team of this church is going to encourage us to love God, love each other, love others. We're going to love God by coming to worship. We're going to love others by joining together in small groups and Bible studies. told us to wait until we're ready. We've waited for a number of years. God's Spirit has been poured out upon us, and we are beginning to move. And the time is now.